if you've never played it and met a professional athlete, never went to those games, for kids from my hometown, that's something that's out of range. It's not something you think of. Kids from around here go to the bigger private schools, or go to the Toledo and Ohio State, and some of the schools that are synonymous maybe with being able to play in the pros. But I didn't want to go to college, and then we had this coach that showed up at my high school my junior year. His name was Joe Bugs. He still is historic in historically black colleges, and he went to Elizabeth City State University. I had no idea. I didn't have any desire to play college football. I was about to go into the military in my senior year. I had signed the papers. I was about to go I had taken the physical. I was about to sign the papers. And Charles Gray, Skipper Gray, was my best friend in high school. My mother and Joe Bugs thought that I had enough to do to play college ball. So there weren't any major college scholarships, but Joe Bugs was real good at getting a lot of his kids in small black colleges. And he went to Elizabeth City himself. He's a Hall of Famer there. He actually tried out for the Steelers back in the 50s. And, Joe, my mom was like, well, this is an opportunity, you may never get. I mean, I want to go in the military. I wanted to get away from home. I wanted to be able to travel and experience things. And I didn't really care for school. I wasn't a very good student in school. I asked my mom 5 or 6 years ago, we were sitting around, and I said, did you ever help me with my homework? She told me I never brought books home. So I said, well, there you go. I went to Elizabeth City for a year because the 3 people that were close to me persuaded me to go there. I liked the idea of being there. Him and his wife took me to a basketball game. I got the college experience, which was the first time I'd really been on a college campus. I didn't know anything about going to college. I had no desire to go to college. And when I got there, I met, there was 32 freshmen that year from all over the Eastern Seaboard. And the guys were pretty cool. I met a lot of guys from Booker T. Washington High School, Norview High School, that we played a little bit against them in basketball, but they became my best friends. And they are still friends today, and they were my roommates. And they were best friends with Bruce Smith in high school. He went to Booker T. Washington in Norfolk, and somehow we all became friends. And that's how Bruce and I became friends and remain friends to this day.
Wow. I didn't realize that. So
Yeah.
what are your favorite college memories? And what, at that point, did you think, okay, I have a chance to make it to the NFL?
Well, again, I hadn't thought about the NFL. I mean, like I said, I didn't dream like that. I was in ROTC. I had done 3 years of ROTC, and my senior year, they were going to start giving me $100 checks as, kind of a stipend for being in the program. And then obviously you sign a contract, and once you graduate, you go into, the officers candidate school. And that's where I was in college. It was 1983, and Elizabeth City plays Norfolk State University. Ron Bolton, who played here for the Browns during the Cardiac Kid days, was a cornerback. He went to school at Norfolk State. And I just lit it up that day. It's called the Fish Bowl, Elizabeth City versus Norfolk State. It's a Shriners Bowl. Instead of playing in front of 3,000 or 4,000 like normal, there was probably 20,000 people at Foreman Field. And I lit it up. I had a big day. I think I went for 7, 8 catches, 170-some yards. I won the MVP. And then the USFL was just starting to crank up. Guys were starting to sign in the USFL. You had the Herschel Walkers and Jim Kellys. And for our team, it was Gerald McNeil, Mike Johnson, Frank Minifield. Those are the guys that I know now from the USFL. And, my senior year, scouts started to come around. And I was like, wow, scouts. I mean, I think that's pretty cool, because I remember being in high school and getting letters from Clemson and North Carolina, big schools, but they never paid me any mind. I think they send 1 million of those things out to every guy that's a senior in high school, because no one ever came to talk to me, ever. But this was a little different because the NFL and the USFL were in a bidding war, or trying to, get young players from all over the place. The USFL was stealing players from the NFL. I had 2 guys, Bobby Futrell and Dwight Taylor. They were great cornerbacks. Both of them played corners with me. They were a year ahead of me. and one got drafted in the USFL, and one was a tryout in the USFL. But they led the nation in interceptions in 1984, I believe, in 1983, 84, and so the USFL would come and check those guys out. When they were there to watching them, I would stay after practice and run routes to help them out. Or if it was in the springtime, they'd always say, "Hey, can you help us out? Come run some routes." And the scouts kept telling me, "Hey, we'll be back for you. We'll be back for you." And then I guess that's when the word got out that I would have a chance. But I never really thought about playing in the NFL. I always thought guys in the NFL were real good, like way beyond what we played football in the CIAA. I knew some guys had excelled in the CIAA and had excelled in small colleges, but I still didn't see myself like that. For me, I just was hanging out with my buddies and playing ball on Saturdays. I didn't lift weights in college. I just wasn't, I did what I was supposed to do, but I just wasn't the athlete that I guess what scouts look at. I didn't believe that.